When you're transcribing something on a computer and the transcription says you will not be saved by the Holy Ghost, as a matter of fact, you will not be saved at all, trouble's coming. We're going to talk about it right now. Hey, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk about the second film in John Carpenter's Apocalypse trilogy, and that film is Prince of Darkness. This film came out October 23rd of 1987. It's rated R. It's an hour and 42 minutes long. Had a budget of $3 million, and upon release that October, it made a little over $14 million. Now, this film was a reaction to John Carpenter had done 3 studio films in a row. He did The Thing, actually 4 studio movies in a row. He did The Thing, which bombed, unfortunately, got him thrown off a fire starter. He did Christine, which was a studio film, and it's a great movie. Then he did Starman, which is a different change of pace for him. And then he did Big Trouble in Little China, which I absolutely love, but unfortunately bombed upon release because the studio did not understand it. So Carpenter, tired of the studio system, signed a 2-picture deal with Alive Films to make 2 low-budget films that he had total creative control over. Movies that he would write, produce, direct, and score. This is the first one of those 2. The other one was They Live. Now, this movie is written by Carpenter, but he wrote it under a pseudonym, Martin Quatermass. Carpenter was a big fan of the Quatermass series way back when, so he used that as a pseudonym when he wrote the script for this film, but this is John Carpenter wrote the script for this movie. And this movie, he brought a couple of John Carpenter regulars back for this film. He had brought Donald Pleasence to work with again as the priest in this film. The 2 newbies in this film are Lisa Blunt as Catherine, Jameson Parker as Brian, Victor Wong as Professor Byrick, and then Dennis Dunn as Walter. Now, Victor Wong and Dennis Dunn had just worked with John Carpenter on Big Trouble in Little China. This film also sees his first collaboration with Peter Jason, who has been in many Carpenter films over the years, anywhere from Body Bags, In the Mouth of Madness, Ghosts of Mars. I'm sure he was in another one, I'm just not thinking of it at the moment. I think he was in Memoirs of an Invisible Man as well. Peter Jason's been in a ton of Carpenter films over the years, and this is his first collaboration with John Carpenter in his small role. And basically this film starts off with this priest dies in this church, like by himself in bed, holding on to this box. We don't know what's in the box. And we're showing this green canister of green liquid in the basement, and it's swirling. And we're introduced to Donald Pleasence's character. And then we're introduced to our rest of our cast. And Victor Wong is professor at the university. And Catherine and Brian are 2 of his students. And he teaches molecular biology, I think that's what it is. Or quantum mechanics, which has a big part of what this film is about. This is what fascinated Carpenter to include that in the script, that and religion. And it melds those 2 perfectly. Donald Pleasence and Victor Wong's character had already had some dealings. They had a discussion or a debate on TV about religion and science. We don't see that, but we hear about people talking about that. And Donald Pleasence, after finding out what was in the basement of this church and what that priest was protecting, goes to Victor Wong because the church knows there's problems coming. They say it's Satan. We find out that it's the anti-God. And he asked Victor Wong to come to church and study this cylinder that's in the basement, this green liquid in it. So he brings on the weekend, he brings all of his students in, because it's a research project, or extra credit for it. And Peter Jason comes in from a different lab with some of his guys, and they set up all this equipment. And from the minute they get there, these homeless people start surrounding the church. One of them is played by Alice Cooper. And he's only really credited as the homeless zombie. Alice Cooper and John Carpenter had met at WrestleMania prior to this, and Alice Cooper had mentioned that he'd always wanted to be in a horror film. John Carpenter, since Alice Cooper's manager was producing this film, Alice Cooper came in to play one of the zombies, and the bike that he kills somebody with half a bike. He stabs it through his chest. Alice Cooper has used that prop on stage for years, prior to this and after this. And actually, an Alice Cooper song is in this film. The guy he kills has headphones on, and you can hear his song, Prince of Darkness. That's just a little bit of trivia. And as the movie goes on, they all start getting freaked out because they realize the one girl's transcribing this book. And part of what I read in the intro is some of the transcription. And they begin to realize something's not right. And before we know it, the liquid gets squirted into this one girl's mouth, and she comes possessed by this anti-god. And she possesses some other people. And before we know it, it turns into a siege film. This film basically takes place, once they get to the church, it basically takes place in and around this church. Carpenter's excellent as one location type films and make it interesting, because it can get boring real fast unless you have an interesting premise. And Carpenter keeps it moving. It's a slow burn for sure until people get possessed. And by the time the one girl gets impregnated by the anti-god, and her face starts melting off, it takes some time to get there. But once it does, everything steamrolls really fast. People get possessed. The people that don't get possessed are trying to fight off. The priest explains what's going on. Everybody knows this is like end of times kind of stuff. And they have this dream, this reoccurring dream with this figure in the doorway of the church telling them that they're broadcasting this from the year 1999, and they couldn't broadcast it over traditional airwaves, so they're broadcasting it through your dreams. Really trippy stuff. And skipping over some stuff, towards the end of the film, the girl that's possessed that looked like she was pregnant is trying to release her father from this mirror. And Donald Pleasance is in this like utility room. The girl sees this huge mirror, so she goes in there and she's like, "Father," and she's going to get him out. And Catherine sees this and realizes that the only way to stop this is to push her into the mirror. So she runs at her, tackles her in the mirror, and she goes into the mirror as well. And Donald Pleasance smashes the mirror, and we think the good guys have won. And what Carpenter does here with the ending is spectacular, because it leaves it open. It's a very open-ended ending, but it also seems like it's not a very happy ending. Brian goes home. Brian wakes up from a dream. He has the same dream they had at the church, of the doorway of opening, but they see this shadowy figure coming out, and he hears the voices again in his head about we're broadcasting to you from the year whatever, but the shadow this time looks like Catherine. And Brian, the last shot's Brian sitting there in bed sweating, and it cuts to black at the end of the film, which means that they didn't really stop anything. They might have just postponed it, but the inevitable is going to happen. That's what I take from the ending. I don't know if that's exactly what that means. That's what I take from it. They didn't stop anything. It's going to happen, almost like Terminator. Judgment Day is going to happen no matter what. That's kind of what I feel about this. Now, this film is a slow burn for sure. This isn't a slam bang movie. This isn't like The Thing gets going pretty quick. This takes its time. It's a very well done film. I love the way the movie's shot. Carpenter impeccably shoots his movies. I love the way he shoots his movies. And the score alone is just creepy. The synth score is fantastic. It's one of my favorite Carpenter scores, actually. I love Halloween. I know everybody else does. And I love a lot of other John Carpenter scores. But Prince of Darkness is one of my favorites. This is in the fog. I think Carpenter hits all the right notes here. The creepiness of the setting, this old abandoned church, that the church was hiding a secret in the basement. Donald Pleasance the whole cast is pretty damn good. Dennis Dunn's a little over the top, but I like Dennis Dunn. He's such a likable character that you just leave it go. Victor Wong's fantastic. Some of the acting's not the greatest from some of the actors, but overall, for $3 million, this movie looks spectacular. It's well shot, the special effects come off really well. It's creepy. There's some gore. It's just a well done R-rated apocalypse film on a smaller scale, but the stakes are big, and Carpenter really excels at that. I don't think this film is not as good as The Thing, and I don't think this film's as good as In the Mouth of Madness. I love In the Mouth of Madness. I'm going to review it eventually. I'm not going to cap off the trilogy. I think I might do Cherry Falls tonight, actually. But getting back to this film, I would give Prince of Darkness a 9 out of 10. I like it that much. It's grown on me over the years. When I first saw it when I was younger, I didn't care for it. Maybe I didn't understand. I don't know why I didn't like it. I just didn't care for it. It's grown on me over the years. I really like this film. Again, it's not a slam-bang horror film. It takes its time. But if you could sit down and get interested in it, I think you'd have a really good time with it. It's really well done, and it melds science and religion together. And I just think Carpenter did a really nice job on a small budget. So yes, 9 out of 10 for Prince of Darkness. What are your thoughts on this film? Leave a comment down below. Let me know. Hit the thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button. Share this video. I'd greatly appreciate it. And again, I think I'm going to do Cherry Falls next. That's my next review. I just feel like doing a slasher film, and I've been thinking about that film for a while now. So I think that's going to be my next one. But I hope everyone's doing well out there. Take care of each other, and I'll be back soon. Thanks. Bye.